were 14 points ahead of Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's side, of course, had 2 games in hand. And here we are with 8 games of this incredible Premier League season to go. And they are separated by just 1 point. Liverpool have the better goal difference of +5. Welcome along then to the Etihad Stadium, our base all day, all talk around the challenge for this. There are, of course, 3 earlier games, much more on those to come later on. But the global eyes are on Manchester City against Liverpool. And with me all day here at the Etihad, 2 men who know all about this fixture. Been there and done it. From Liverpool's point of view, we have Michael Owen, of course, as usual. And it is a big Matchday Live welcome to the former Manchester City Premier League winner, Nigel de Jong, as well. Gentlemen, great to see you. First of all, it's where everybody wants to be today. Just how special is it to be ahead of this game?
It is, Steve. It's exactly that. I mean, April the 10th has been etched in my brain and most people's brains over the last few weeks, even months leading up to this game. It's such a huge game. 2 of the best teams we've ever seen on these shores in the Premier League. And you'd have to go as far as to say as well, one of the biggest ever games the Premier League is going to have seen. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, great to see you with us, Nigel, as well. Great for you to be back at the Etihad. Do you agree with Michael? Is this one of the biggest you can remember in the Premier League era?
Well, you know, I played some big games, obvious, during my career as well. But now as a pundit, it's going to be different. You know, he's excited for different reasons. You know, I got a little different reason as well. But it's good to be back. You know, it's been a decade after that famous win against QPR on the last match day. And I'm looking forward to this game. I think, you know, covering-wise, it's the biggest game that is out there. And everybody looks forward to this game. So I just can't wait to get started, man.
We have 7 games to go after today. There's a lot of talk about whoever wins or indeed loses in terms of this trophy. Where do you see it? Is this a title decider?
I think it's a must-not-lose for Liverpool. I think if Manchester City win, they go 4 points ahead, and I do think they've got an easier run-in than Liverpool. I think if Liverpool can draw or win, then we're going to have an exceptional run into the title. So I think from Liverpool's point of view, as much as they'll be going for the win, Steve, I think it's a must-not-lose game for them.
If City win this, have they got one hand on this?
You know, we were talking about City already winning the Premier League months ago, when they were 14 points ahead. Of course, 4-point gap is crucial now in the stage that they are. But I mean, I've seen crazier things. I remember, you know, 10 years ago, I was 8 points behind Man United with 7 games to go. So it could be also 7 games from after this game with a 4-point lead over Liverpool. So I don't want to say anything, but this is a crucial one in the stage that we are right now.
Yeah, nobody knows better than you that it goes very last second. I mean, we cannot have you here without reviewing this. You actually came on for Yaya Toure, didn't you, in the game, and had a hand somewhere in the goal?
Had a hand somewhere in the goal, in the last minute of the game, of extra time. This one here, Lisco, they winning the header, picking it up. And what you see actually here, if you look at the middle, as you see David Silva going to the right side. So I was thinking about going to him, but he loves to whip the ball in because we had everybody in the 18-yard box. In my eyesight, I see Sergio coming dropping off, but he normally never does. So I was like, you know, this is the one that I will drop him off, and you know, we all see what happened afterwards, and yeah, just was one of those iconic moments, you know, in Premier League football, an obvious one that I remember a long time.
Have you ever had an adrenaline rush like that?
No. I mean, this adrenaline rush was just second to none because we all knew as well that the game in Sunderland when United was winning already 2-0 was done. So yeah, there's a great
picture book moments, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I can't pick them up like that anymore, by the way. So they're not that small anymore. But it's great. I mean, it was a great moment for the family, for everybody that supported City.
That was one of the most dramatic final days from 2 teams from the same city. What about these two over the last 5 years? And people talking about the word rivalry this week. Is it a rivalry, or is it just 2 of the best teams in the world going head-to-head?
I think it's 2 of the best teams going head-to-head, Steve. There will inevitably be a rivalry because they are the 2 best teams, but I don't think there's a hatred between each of the 2 teams. I think we've just seen over the last few years 2 teams that have merged to where they are now. We've seen great Liverpool teams in recent years. We've seen great Manchester City teams. Have also had a little bit of a dip, but at the moment, both teams playing at the very, very highest level. Probably right up there with the 2 best teams I've seen in my lifetime, growing up watching the great AC Milans and Barcelona's, Real Madrid's, of course, Arsenal's, Manchester United's, Chelsea's have been great. But I think 2 teams at the same time, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this.
And does it make it more special? We've had the same 2 managers over the last 5 years in charge of these two teams going head to head as well.
Yeah, that makes it special. You know, we all know the rivalry between the two managers. They respect each other. We hear a lot of going back and forth, talking about each other, the qualities, and as well like the respect that they have among each other. And of course, to do that for the years that they've already been doing it, it's just it's second to none. And that's why in this stage right now, it is so special to see the best teams in the Premier League, but also international. I mean, we can't forget that. The rest of the world. It's so special today to see this Premier League title unfold.
It is much more to come. We've taken over the Etihad Stadium, Match Day Live here, because this is our base today. All the talk is of the title. But of course, as I say, there are 3 games to come first, including one very important one at the bottom. We can go back to the studio now. Seema will talk you through with a very special guest with her as well.
I think it's incredible, and the way they're pushing themselves and what they're doing is amazing. I think we're in store for a great game now.
Conor, what do you think is the biggest difference, obviously, between the two teams? They seem to be getting more similar, Liverpool having more possession. What do you think is the biggest difference between the two?
I do think there's a difference between the quality that they both produce on a weekend is remarkable. It's incredible what they do every single week, the way they push each other. I think how direct Liverpool are.
Yeah.
I don't think Manchester City are like that. I think we mentioned before, Owen, about I think Liverpool can win ugly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that's how they can win. They're not scared to do that, and Manchester City just look amazing when they play, the way they keep the ball, the way they move the ball. But I just think Liverpool are a lot more direct. But listen, both incredible teams in their own way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we've been speaking about. I mean, we think Liverpool are the team that can probably win ugly. City played this beautiful football, but just want to throw to the boys back at the ground. What do they think? Do they think Liverpool are the favourites to win ugly? Or do you think if City play that beautiful attacking football, are they going to be the team to win the game?
Well, I think when you've got to say that City are the favourites to win the game, I mean, I think it's a real tactical, interesting battle, this one, because you've got Pep Guardiola, who you know yourself, Owen, is a great tactician, whereas you know exactly what Jurgen Klopp's going to do here today. He plays the same way every single time. So I do think it's going to be interesting to see how Manchester City set up in particular. And of course, Conor's been here a few times with Wolves in the past, and I was just wondering from Conor's point of view, how does he feel that Manchester City, well, how Liverpool can get a result here, because Conor's managed to stifle City on a few occasions.
Yeah, we have, and it's something where it was a little bit different for us, mate, in terms of we were going there and we had to be patient without the ball. We had to be patient. I think Liverpool won't be like that. I think Liverpool will want to have the ball. I think they'll understand that Manchester City play a certain way. But I think when we went there, it was something where we knew without the ball we'd be patient and we'd get chances on the counter-attack. As long as we defended properly, we stayed together, we stayed compact. And I think that was a big part of it, because Manchester City love to play through the middle of the pitch, and you feel that when you come there, because a lot of the time you don't have the ball for 2, 3, 4 minutes at a time. And I don't think it'll be like that today. I think Liverpool will probably get after them and do what they always do, like you said, because they never tend to change, and they're so direct and so aggressive. But I think the game itself is set up so nicely, and a game of two teams who are on real top form.
Well, exactly, and I'm just wondering as well, Conor, in terms of both ends of the pitch, really. Let's start at the top end of the pitch for Liverpool, and a player that you know so well in Jota. We're all trying to guess the teams here, but how do you think he's settled into Liverpool? Is he actually doing even better than when he was at Wolves with you?
Do you know what it is? It's something where I mentioned before about when he was at Wolves, his mentality. I knew when he moved to Liverpool, and a lot of people were asking me. I've got a lot of friends who were Liverpool fans, and a lot of them were asking me, "Oh, how's he going to be? What's he like? What's this and what's that?" And the biggest thing I can say about him was his mentality to do well, and that's how I always knew he was going to be a success at Liverpool, because his mentality is incredible. He wants to win. He wants to score goals. He wants to be in the box. He wants to win headers. He's incredibly good for a little fella in the air as well. And as I mentioned, his mentality was always going to make him succeed, I thought.
Nigel, we know, as Conor says, we know they're not going to change both of these teams. Every time they meet, we talk about the contrast of styles, don't we? I mean, how's that going to play out today in terms of the win with the title on the line with a point?
It's, we've been talking about the two different systems, or going back and forth, Liverpool and City. We all know that City might have the majority of the ball possession today. That being said, Liverpool has to chase in that sense. They have to put the pressure on City, because if you keep City on the ball too long, they're going to be changing. They're going to be too many occasions up front. What I do think is that Liverpool can catch them on the break. because City plays up such a high line, and they always try to go forward. And in every occasion, Liverpool can have the opportunity to go break away with the speed of a Salah, with a Jota if he's going to play, and also with Mane. So that's really interesting to see. But I think the main part in this game and where both teams can win it is on the midfield. The midfield is going to be huge today in order to win this game.
That's why the centre midfield is the most important position on the park, isn't it?
That's why I'm here. Why? That's why I'm doing the analysis.
Listen, lots more from Michael and Nigel, Andy, Conor and Owen to come, of course. We're based at the Etihad all day. When we come back, we will hear the views of the two managers. I was very privileged and fortunate enough to sit down with them both in the lead-up to this big clock. But all the anticipation, of course, and the expectation is around the Etihad Stadium in Manchester for the top two. City against Liverpool, separated by just 1 point. And we are here for you on Matchday Live at the Etihad all day. And it's high time we heard from both the managers who have so much respect for each other. I was lucky enough to sit down with them both this week, and they were in a reflective mood.
I have to talk to him there. He helped me, his teams helped me to be a better manager.
I couldn't respect him more. It's not possible. For me, he's the best manager in the world.
During the last 5 years, every single year we were there.
Wow. Two of the best teams, yeah, for sure.
What is sure is that Liverpool and Man City in the last years, we raised the bar, we raised the targets like a Premier League had before, that's for sure. We push each other a lot, and I think the other teams, they realize they have to push more to chase us. So that is the truth.
Look, if I would be a different person, I would be probably a little bit depressed about the fact that Pep Guardiola is constantly coaching these kind of teams. Maybe thought we could have won more titles with Dortmund if Pep wouldn't have been at Bayern. Now he has pretty much the same. Imagine they would not be here. We probably would have won at least one more league title. But I'm not like this, thank God. So I'm completely happy with our situation, but I respect a lot what they are doing, to be honest. It's an insane football team. And for me, the world best manager. So that's a combination which makes it quite tricky.
When we were 14 points against Liverpool, even myself, I could not believe it, because I know what opponent we're going to face is Liverpool. It's maybe one of the best teams in decades in this country, in Europe. So I know the reality is 1 point right now, or we can 1 up or 2 or 3 down. This is the normal, the reality. So this is what I have to be. And again, it's an honor to be there, to fight for, to beat them and win the Premier League.
Obviously, Man City is a pretty good football team, and that means, of course, there's a rivalry. Thank God there's a rivalry.
For me as a manager, I said he's the best contender I ever faced in my career.
If you want to beat City in the league, I think I said once you have to be close to perfect. I think you have to be perfect. Meanwhile, there's just no space for any kind of little drops or failure or whatever. But the good thing is, when we created something, a mentality or whatever, if you want to beat us, you have to be close to perfection as well. And that's good. That's really good. And it's important. And I really think people would say our job is to win trophies. I think it's slightly different. That's the icing on the cake. Our job is actually to entertain people.
What I'm proud the most is the fact that, I said before, that this consistency in every 3 days during 5-6 seasons in this country. I said many times, so just take a look. Just take a look, the winners of the Premier League the year after what happened. And they dropped massively. They were not able to, again and again, in all the competition, the Carabao and FA Cup, even in Champions League, going there in group stages, and in every single day were there. All the teams after Champions League winners Premier League, they drop. This is I think the biggest success of this club. Miles away to win the Premier League, or of course the dream to win the Champions League or the titles is always being there when you arrive in the last stages. And this is so difficult, my friend. This is so difficult.
We are a good football team as well. So but we are different. But we developed together, and that makes it so enjoyable and makes it so satisfying and great in moments. That doesn't mean, obviously, we failed already big because of not becoming champion for 1 point or 11 inches or whatever. That's not nice, but it shows you are on the right way, you're on the right path, and it's really cool. It doesn't give you any kind of guarantees, but it gives you the chance. And in life, you never need more than a chance. If you have a chance, I really think you should give it a go, and that's exactly our situation. There's no pressure; it's just opportunity. So let's go for it, and let's see where we will end up.
I'm pretty sure all the people will be watching that game.
Is it live everywhere? This is the most difficult game in the world of football.
Since many years, we try to compete against this legendary club. For us, it's an honor. Hopefully for them too.
Who? Yeah. Oh, good. I want to make a joke, but it didn't work.
Thank you. See you on the grass.
And we cannot wait, because they will be on this grass behind us today at the Etihad Stadium, which, by the way, is absolutely magnificent. Nigel, they were in really relaxed, fascinating mood with me there. What is interesting is the amount of respect they've got from each other. We were talking about rivalry earlier in the show. We've seen the Ferguson-Wenger years, Jose Mourinho. There's none of that with these two, is there?
No, that isn't, and that has also part to do with the personality that Jurgen Klopp has. You know, he's such a great character to be around with. You know, as nobody can really dislike him, and you have to give respect also what he built with Liverpool. And I think that's also what you see in the interview here. You know, the way how they talk about each other, the way how they give respect to each other. You know, respecting each other's playing styles, but obvious they want to win the games as well, and they want to win trophies. So it's a great thing not only for us to see, but I think also for general football, that you have two of the biggest, I think, the best managers out there now, you know, talking about each other in the way how they do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game, and obviously, you know, a little scuffle at the sideline. I will not, you know, like be surprised today. A little drama at the sideline, even though they had this interview today. So let's hope of a little bit of drama.
You loved a scuffle back in the day, didn't you? Jurgen Klopp laughing with me there, but when he was at Dortmund, he said he would have won a couple of more league titles and probably one more with Liverpool if it wasn't for going up against Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I think you can look at this in two ways, Steve. I think certain rivalries over the years, you look at players, you look at Messi, Ronaldo, you look at two managers now in terms of Guardiola and Klopp. I think they can all be thankful for each other. I think they drive each other on. Yes, you might have won another trophy, but would you be at the level that you're at the minute? If Jurgen Klopp didn't have Manchester City to aim at, then I'm not sure Liverpool would be at the level they are at the minute. So I think you drive each other on in this game, and they've got to levels that nobody can keep up with at the moment. And I think that's down to the quality of both managers.
That's fascinating. I mean, even Jurgen Klopp ahead of this game has used the tennis analogy, hasn't he, with Federer and Nadal. They're that good because they've got each other.
Exactly, and that is exactly the way that we've seen also this unfolding. You know, sometimes we've seen it at players, Messi and Ronaldo, even though they say we're not rivals, but of course they look at each other's stats and see who's going to be the best player in the world. And the thing is also with managers in this case, with Guardiola and Klopp, they both always say, I'm only concentrating on my own team, I only care what I'm doing with my own team and how we can progress. But of course they look at each other. They look at each other how they're doing, they look at each other how they perform also on the pitch with their team. And that is striving for the best of them, for the best of them. So we can see that also translating on the pitch in their teams. You know, they are an extension of the team and an expression also of the team. So we can see that.
And just to back that up, we're talking about a point between them this season with 8 games to play, which is incredible. If you go back to the start of the 18-19 league season, would you believe that, Nigel? 144 games they've played, and they're still only separated by 1 single point.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that just tells you the quality of the both of the teams, you know, and as well of Liverpool, how they've been coming back into the season, because everybody thought it was done already a couple of months ago. So with 40 points ahead, so that says how close these two teams are, and nobody's even close. 3rd and 4th place, they're not even close to these two teams. So that says something about this team.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Steve, because as much as they're so close, which that graphic shows, they're so different in terms of managerial types, let's say. I think Jurgen Klopp is the best man manager in the world. The players would literally run through a brick wall for him. They love him. He's got the enthusiasm, the energy. Whereas on the flip side, I think Pep Guardiola wouldn't be like the most popular manager some of these players have played underneath. However, tactically, he is the best thinker in the game at the moment. So two different ways of managing, but as that graphic just showed, there's more than one way to become a successful manager, but they are right at the top in their respective roles.
And when Pep was talking to me there about retaining the title, you've won one. You know what it's like for the squad to go again the next season. If they can do that this season, that's 4 out of 5 seasons. How much drive? How do you find that hunger again to produce a record like that?
It is really hard, and it is really not even hard as a manager to keep up with your players as well, and also with the high standards that you expect from your players. But the energy and the intensity that he does it with, and also expect from his players, is hard, because everybody on that roster has to understand the way how the system is set up. It's not an easy system. We see it now with Jack Grealish, for example. He needs to really adjust to the system. We've seen him in the beginning with Mahrez when he came from Leicester. He really needed to adjust to the system as well. So it's really hard to implant all these players from different kinds of clubs and try to be successful over and over again. So the type of energy and intensity is second to none. And Guardiola, what you said, he's a thinker. He thinks a lot. He always thinks about how can he adjust his teams in different positions. But to do it at that certain level, that's unbelievable.
I just wonder as well, Nigel, what you think about a different way of thinking. Once you've won one thing, is it the same type of thing? Because I often thought when you win one thing, the excitement of winning your first one is one thing. After that, I found something that motivated me was actual fear of somebody else beating. So that's a motivation factor. The more and more you win, it's more... not the joy of you winning it personally, but you're so scared anybody else can take your crown. And I think that there's different attributes that can actually drive you forward. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, to retain is one thing. And what you said, you don't want your rivals to come close. So you always want to retain the trophies. When we won the first trophy for many years, that was the FA Cup, the first one in 2011. And then obviously make your next step in winning the Premier League. And then you got the hunger of, okay, now we said something and we want to retain it. So, in that time, it was also the time for Sir Alex Ferguson. So it was a different time, because now obviously we're not the noisy neighbours anymore. We're a direct rival. So now you want to retain it. But you know how hard it is to retain a Premier League, with so many good teams around. And of course, City being so dominating, we are lucky that we have a team like Liverpool who can compete with City. Can you just imagine there was no Liverpool side that was so strong as Liverpool side right now? I think City will retain the Premier League for 6, 7, 8 years.
And as a neutral, we're all grateful that Liverpool are pushing City. Now, when we were chatting earlier on, we talked about the importance of today. Just have a look at the fixtures, because you feel if Liverpool lose this with this run of fixtures to come, which of course includes a Merseyside derby and Manchester United and Spurs as well, might prove problematic in Liverpool's title challenge.
Yeah, I really do, Steve. I think if you look at Manchester City's run of fixtures, they've got very winnable games that you just cannot see them slipping up. Brighton at home, Watford at home, even Leeds away, but Newcastle at home, Aston Villa they're all home games against teams that aren't really in that top echelon of the Premier League. Whereas look at Liverpool's games, they've got Manchester United and Everton, 2 real arch rivals. Then they go away to a team that are flying in Newcastle. Of course, Tottenham are very difficult, away again and away again. And then you finish at home to Wolves, of course, who are a difficult team. But if you're going to win the Premier League and you've got a game at home at the end, then I'm sure they'll be okay in that one. But I do think that Liverpool have got a harder run in, and I do feel if they lose today, 4 points to gain plus a harder fixture list, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, that's if you look at the list right now, I completely agree with you. If Liverpool has a harder fixture list when it comes down to the games, and of course City playing at home now 3 times in the bounce, starting with today and another 2 home games. So it's going to be really crucial the first couple of games that's coming off this end. When we played against Arsenal at Emirates and we lost, we knew our schedule was quite okay till we met United at the third last game of the season. So these next 3 games, next 4 games is really important now in order to retain the Premier League.
Fascinating. Let's get some more pre-match Manchester City thoughts from one of Nigel's former Premier League winning teammates, actually, who's back here at the Etihad for the first time since 2018. He's in the dugout with Ian Irving.
Yeah, he needs no introduction really, does he? Yaya Toure is with us here in the dugouts. Yaya, I want to take you back 10 years next month, incredibly. 2012, your first title win here at Manchester City, and that amazing day against QPR. It wasn't an amazing day for you quite perfectly though, was it?
Yeah, obviously I think before the game with the goal was Zabaleta, I picked up an hamstring injury. It was tough. I wanted to continue to end the game with my teammate, but unfortunately in half time I have to leave the pitch. But I think during this moment, it was a perfect capture, perfect highlight of the things that I did so much against Newcastle. Then when we arrived to QPR, I was so close to be with my team in the field and lift this trophy. But when I get back into the story, I get back to remember when I was passing the ball with Zabaleta, with Sami in the middle. After that, I think when the 1-2 I receive it, and from that one, the control, because I have to just stretch a bit my legs and get the ball in control because I was 1 or 2 players around me, and that moment my hamstring pull up a bit. But I see the run of Zabaleta coming, and I just have to just slice the ball between the legs or between the middle of the 2 players, and Zabaleta just scored a goal.
So you set up a goal after you'd pulled your hamstring to get City back in the game. Where did you watch the second half? Where were you when Sergio put the ball in the net?
Yeah, I was sitting in there.
In the dressing room?
Yeah, in the dressing room with the arms packed and my hamstring, just thinking we're gonna win it, because I think we were as a team we were better than QPR. But the only thing it was a threat against us is that QPR was fighting to survive and stay in the Premier League next year, and that was the tricky things. But later on, we heard that QPR was fine, but we managed to win the game in the end.
Yeah, an amazing day, definitely. And you mentioned it before, that Newcastle game.
Yeah.
And your goals in that game. It's not only that match, but you've scored a lot of crucial goals in title run-ins for Manchester City. What do you think makes a difference in the moments? Because, of course, these 2 teams are approaching that moment now.
Yeah. I think my type of approach, all approach I have it when I was playing, especially Man City, because, of course, to be honest, the Premier League is tough, because these huge, big players have been playing around. And today, we're going to see 2 fantastic teams. And that's where I turn up. I like big games, because I want to make impact, and I love to make impact positively for my team and for the fans as well. And I think today I wish what most of our best players gonna turn on today, because that's the time, I think it's not the end after this game. Of course, you have a few games coming again, but I think that's a really, really important game today, to be honest.
And your old teammate Nigel de Jong is in our studio today as well, here at the stadium. You've got good memories of Nigel and playing with him?
Yeah, definitely, because I think when I was in 2012, when we were together with Gareth Bale, with him as well, I think I was calling them my soldier. But sometimes it was ruthless, sometimes with me at time. But I think it was for all the positive, all good things, because sometimes you need to have some partner there when you are not in the games, just lift you up, like, oh yeah, what happened? Why we do it, guys? Carry on. We support you, and that's important sometimes, because I think that's why I love this game. The fact that it's not only one person; it's just a teammate. It's just a group. It's a matter of the team. You have to look at in the face of your teammate and say, "Look, they need me there, and I have to deliver. If they know if I'm ready for it, they're gonna follow me."
Over to the ruthless soldier, then. Brilliant.
I might suggest that he's been called worse over the years, to be fair. Nigel